Happy Friday, everyone. Welcome to TableTakes presented by Gen Con. My name is Christian. I am joined today by Banzai, Kristen, and Justin. Say hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Wow,
Yes.
You followed direction so well.
We did it.
It's been a big week in the world of gaming, and we've got a lot to cover, so we're going to jump right into it. First thing, let's talk about games, because that's why we're here, right?
Yeah.
So there's a new Godzilla card game coming out from Bandai. And obviously the new Godzilla King of the Monsters is huge right now. I don't know if everybody here has seen it, but spoiler, there's giant monsters all over the place in this film.
No.
And if you want to have that feeling for yourself, but while playing cards instead of watching a movie, this might be the game for you. We know lots about this, including like who it's designed by, and that's kind of exciting in and of itself because it uses the Chrono Clash system. Who's played on that before? Anybody?
I've done a little bit. It's more or less like, hey, you have this amount of like energy points, and you can either spend like 10 energy points on a big thing, or you can do single like energy points, and then once you are out of energy, your other friend or the other player that you're going against has their turn.
It's kind of like an initiative passing system.
Initiative
Yeah,
passing.
you were mentioning something about that earlier. I was kind of interested in the way you explained it because it made sense to me at the time.
Yeah, I mean, essentially what Banzai just said, essentially it's like the cost of the card, you have a track essentially, and the cost of the card subtracts from that track, and when it passes over to the opponent's side, then they have some amount of ability to play cards, and it kind of goes back and forth like you were saying.
So it kind of sounds like with this game then, since you're playing different Godzilla monsters, right?
Well,
or
there's
kaiju.
only one Godzilla.
Okay.
Such as Mothra, Rodan,
King Ghidorah.
Mechagodzilla.
Oh, yeah.
So
all the
you can
favorites.
probably save up enough points to do like a hella big move, right? Right is the technical term.
Yeah,
believe-
in the
hella
rule
big.
book, I believe that's what it's referring to.
Yeah.
Hella
Big.
big is the
or just do like
Industry
little light attacks
Like,
or
boop, boop.
something.
Yeah.
or nickel and diamond, as we call it.
Designed by Ryan Miller, who worked at Wizards of the Coast for a long time.
For a long time,
He worked on Commander for Magic.
which is a very popular way to play that game, I hear.
Yeah, and he created this system. I believe Bandai has put out a game in the system already that's Naruto, set in the Naruto universe.
Yes.
So it's the Chrono Clash system.
So they've already done that. I thought that was still in development for some reason, because it's,
You could be right.
it might be. This game releases in September, so we're probably going to be seeing it, around August at various
certain shows.
at certain conventions that we might, we talk about
maybe.
occasionally from time to time. But it is not so much a card collection game as a kind of a pre-built deck game, right?
I think so, yeah. So I think the article said it came with 4 pre-built decks of 50 cards. But what the interesting thing about this, I thought, was that Bandai, the company that's putting it out, I mean, is already doing store support for it.
Yeah.
So they're
they're
already
big name
coming
in
up.
toys, so they've got
Absolutely.
they've got the backing for it.
Right, so they're coming up with tournaments already with prize support from Bandai, which is kind of cool.
And they've also got, if you go to their website, they've also got a link for content creators on YouTube or streamers who can get involved as well to be a part of the...
For the Godzilla.
yeah.
Snap.
All right, so take a look around the September area of the year at your local game store. See if maybe you can win a little bit of money getting good at this game.
Yes.
It's about giant monsters, so I don't understand what's not to love about it.
True.
We'll be picking it up there. Card games are all the rage right now, and I'm sure we've got some more card game news coming out sometime. Oh, wait, look at that.
We do, in
Kristen,
fact.
yeah, tell me about Dungeon Mayhem.
So, Dungeon Mayhem is designed by Dungeons & Dragons, if you guys didn't know. And it's just this cute card game. Has anyone played it?
I've never played it.
Yeah.
So I played it a few times, and I love it. So it's just a very simple card game set in like a dungeon, right? And they have 4 pre-built characters, Wizard, Barbarian, Rogue, and Paladin. And so basically it's just like you do hits to each other at the table, and then you kind of have a life track, and whoever is the last person standing wins. So it's a very cute game for people who aren't, your friends who aren't necessarily gamers. It's a great game to break out because it's really easy to play too. It's very easy to
Very
learn.
family friendly, very young age. Like it's possible for younger players to be able to play it as well.
Absolutely. And it's super cute, right? It's adorable.
It is. The art is wonderful.
So the
It's
news.
hard to argue with Q. Yeah, the news is there's an expansion.
There's an expansion coming out, a Baldur's Gate expansion.
Oh, now that is news.
Yeah, so which is really exciting.
That
yeah.
makes it newsworthy right there. Baldur's Gate
Absolutely.
is
So hot right now.
so hot right now.
So hot.
Well, and they're not just doing extra classes from Baldur's Gate. They're actually doing characters. You get to play as Baldur's Gate characters.
So I can be Minsk.
You can be Minsk.
That's all I care about.
Hamster.
Go for the face bull!
Minsk includes a miniature giant space hamster as part of his powers in the game. Yeah,
Sold.
I know, right?
Take my money. Take
and
my
then
money now.
Jahara as well.
Oh.
Yeah.
Not
so-
as cool as Minsk, but
Yeah.
still.
She's
She's
pretty
great.
rad.
She's great,
Yeah.
but the voice is so iconic for me. I didn't play Baldur's Gate until 2 came out, but I had hung out at my friend's house while he was playing Baldur's Gate 1, and so I became very acquainted with the voice of Minsk because he would play those little sound bites over and over again. He was so amused by them.
He's not the only one who did that.
No, I don't. I know he's not. I think once 2 came out, I was doing the same thing. Hey, Mom, listen to this.
You know, I used to do that with, so there was a mode in Street Fighter 2 back in the day on Super Nintendo where, like, you could go into just the sound settings and you could do, like,
sound
light
test.
punch, medium punch.
I
And
would
so
use it for sound effects in my little home video movies that I would make.
I remember one time.
It never synced up. It was really bad. I don't know why they let me
No,
make
but
movies
if it
now.
doesn't sync up, that's quality, all right? Don't you?
It's
although-
art.
Yeah, it's
You're a
art.
very ingenious man, Kristen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, I used to play with those. I feel like it's kind of the same, a little bit. So Baldur's Gate expansion is coming out September 2019, so we might see a Gen Con 2, maybe not, not sure.
I bet we will. I just
would-
have this feeling.
I would love to, but I don't think Dungeons & Dragons Wizards has a booth at Gen Con.
That's
so
because they permeate.
they do. Yeah.
They're a miasma, if you will.
They
It's
permeate.
interesting because I heard somewhere recently, someone was like, how come Magic the Gathering doesn't have a presence and D&D have a presence at Gen Con? And I was like, they don't have a booth in the exhibit hall.
But they
But,
are
like,
literally everywhere.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, they're. You
A
can't-
Godzilla-sized footprint, if you will.
If you go into the equally giant room that's next to the exhibit hall, that's all people playing Magic.
Yeah,
much, yeah.
I feel like they already have enough saturation that they're like, yeah, what? We need to advertise? No.
Right.
Do you not know
Hey,
who
have
I
you
am?
guys heard of Dungeons and Dragons?
Magic the Gathering. Huh?
You know what? That's actually a great marketing campaign I just thought of. Just take it from the Church of Latter-day Saints, and you just go door to door,
Have you heard?
and you're like,
Have you heard
hello.
the good word of Gygax? We'd love to sit down and talk to you a little bit about your character.
I would absolutely listen to a podcast called The Good Word of Gygax.
And you have like a little satchel where you have like the player's handbook.
And then you have a dialable number.
Hold on, I'm
to
stealing that
donate.
idea for my trailer.
Coming back to Baldur's Gate real quick, Christian, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
How much would you pay for Minsk, the ranger with the miniature space hamster?
That's a good question. How big are we talking about here?
The miniature giant space hamster? Or
How big is this? What
I'm talking about, yeah, like, I don't know, like normal size.
normal size miniature with
Giant,
a miniature
yeah.
giant space
Yeah.
hamster?
Like if it was, for example, offered as an expansion to Dungeon Mayhem,
Okay.
would you pay upwards of $15, $20?
Yeah, easily.
$30?
Easily.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Well,
$29.95 minimum.
Good news for you. The Dungeon Mayhem expansion is only $10.
What?
Yes.
and I think the base game is only like 15
15,
bucks.
yeah.
15.
If you
So-
say, but wait, there's more after this, I'm going to lose my mind.
All together. Oh, for a low price of 25.
Yeah, for 25 bucks you get both.
Yeah,
so,
you get both.
yeah,
That's right.
so
Kids,
it's-
ask your parents before buying. Speaking of kids,
Oh.
Yeah, we got more family-friendly games.
that's right.
Actually.
That's what we're. See how I just jumped right into that?
I know, right? Thank you for the great segue. I
Yeah,
appreciate
I've been
it.
working on
you
them at
know
home,
what?
people.
When you weren't here last week, I was just like, I didn't have any segue game. I was just like, okay, next piece of news
I know,
is Derek.
Kristen, I watched.
We need to make you a T-shirt that says Big Segway Game.
Big set.
What do you think is under this? If you guessed a
Give us
if you
the-
if you guessed a Superman shirt, you're 100% right.
Is it? Oh, it is. I
Wow.
was gonna say that's super.
It's real.
Hey, I wear my nerd on the outside, unless I'm doing a news show, in which case I wear a button-up shirt and a jacket.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a really bad segue when you're unbuttoning your shirt as we're going into the family-friendly segment. So
Oh,
It's
come on.
Superman, though.
It's Superman.
Superman. What better icon for America's youth than a really
alien.
self-righteous
Alien?
white dude with godlike powers? Wait, never mind.
Family-friendly games coming from Tames and Cosmos. So Tames and Cosmos does a lot of family-friendly games. You've probably seen their Exit series. I know I have. They're kind of like just saturated in toy stores and game stores everywhere. So they're actually coming out with
They're like Funko Pops.
Kind of, yeah. So the Exit games are really interesting. Have you guys played them at all?
I have actually wanted to, but I never have. I always see them at the store. And I'm like, that looks really fun. And then I always hear people say they're really fun, but I still have yet to try it.
I do a little bit of demos here and there. They're like just very simple.
Right. Well,
very
so
simple
they're
games.
puzzle games,
Yes.
right? And you can only play them once. Is my impression. I haven't played them before, but it sounds really interesting. So
We're getting a nod from the booth. Yes,
Yes.
you can only play them once, and then you have to buy a new one. That's probably why I even picked them up. I'm so cheap.
it's kind of interesting though, because like I think it includes a lot of paper things that like you have to fold, like fold this to get the clue and then tear it up and burn it to get the clue and smoke. Is how
I don't know about burning it.
I'm in. I'm totally
I know that
in.
it's just like you gotta put the pieces together in
so
this way.
there's an
I can't figure this out, man. Have you tried burning it? How is that a conversation that happens?
Exit House of Riddles is a 1 to 4 players at their beginner difficulty, so it's on the easier side. They've got really hard puzzles as well. So this is a beginner game, so very family friendly for your kids.
Except for the one where you have to set it on fire. Don't let your kids play that one because they're not supposed to be playing with fire.
I mean,
I think you might be playing it wrong.
I feel like the burning thing does happen because I've done puzzle rooms where they're like, "Hey, don't burn anything."
People set things on fire.
Yeah, people set things on
It's
fire. If you
normal.
can't figure out what it is,
If you
maybe
can't
you
figure out what it is, set it on fire.
set it on fire, and then it solves everything.
What do you think it does? I don't know. It's a witch. Burn it.
You guys don't do that?
No!
It's like I smack my machine if it doesn't work.
Exactly. Normal troubleshooting. Smack it,
Smack it,
blow
unplug
on it,
Yeah.
set it on fire.
I feel,
Guys, it's not a Nintendo disc.
I feel exceedingly normal right now.
Beyond the Exit games from Tames and Cosmos, there's Ubongo Extreme. So it's smaller, it's a portable format of the game, and they're reducing the price point a little bit. So if you want to take that on a vacation or to the beach or wherever you play games, I know Justin and I, we take portable versions of games with this everywhere. So if we're going to be on a train, on a bus, on a plane together, we always take a portable version of a game. So it's nice to
Anything
have.
to keep from talking.
Indeed, really. You know,
we crushed a puzzle on the ferry the other week.
We did.
Okay, and it was
yeah,
fun.
It was
Don't
fun,
judge me.
actually.
No judgment, just an observation. I apologize.
Until you lose one of the pieces while you're out, and you're like, no.
That's the worst.
It is the worst.
I'm actually with this Cosmos stuff. I'm actually like most excited for the third thing that they're doing, the brainwave stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so moving on from Ubongo, which is great because it's, portable.
And I like the name. It's just fun to say.
Ubongo. I know.
Ubongo.
Ubongo.
Ubongo?
Ubongo.
You know I do.
Ubongo.
Ubongo.
Brainwaves is the third in this series, so it's a series of games developed by game designers and neuroscientists.
Oh, actually.
Oh, okay. It's like the game designer's part wasn't very surprising.
Yeah.
Right.
But
So,
the neuroscientist threw me for a loop.
No, they're actually neuroscientists who wanted to design games. So it's actually not two different people. It's the one combined.
Yeah, and I think they got help from like Tames and Cosmos game designers as well to push it forward, make it a thing.
Neuroscience.
They're like, this neuroscience thing is really tough. You gotta just make a board game?
Let's do it.
Listen, the first game that they made is called Astute Goose, and I'm in with
You're
that title.
100%.
Yeah, I will play any game called Astute Goose.
It sounds like an Xbox gamer tag that you didn't pick.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Astute
You-
Goose
I'm
4845.
Astute Goose 721.
So they're all for 1 to 4 players, so you can use it, as we're seeing more and more, right? More games that are just for 1 player that you can play at home, which sounds a little sad when you say it, but at the same time, like, sometimes I can't get a hold of any of my friends, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to pull out this game. I can play it by myself,
But
which
I think
is pretty cool.
I think more relevantly, like because the neuroscience angle to this, it allows that they're essentially creating games that help kind of develop memory skills, especially for younger people and stuff like that. Like for example, Astute Goose, you're trying to remember like shirt color and like accomplice animal from like these like not criminals but suspects as they're
Right.
calling it, and so it's like a memory kind
What
of
do we
development game.
suspect them of? Is it crime?
You're gonna have to ask the goose.
Yeah, you have to ask the goose.
You're gonna have to get with the goose.
The goose will know.
Get with the goose, Christian.
I don't know what I was thinking.
The funny thing about these games is they do label it 8+, but I think even younger audiences can play it. It's just that tiny pieces, so they're like, so we don't get sued.
Yeah, I think that they say
8+.
they also say 8+ because they don't want to make people feel bad in case their kids are super dumb.
Wow, Christian.
Wow.
Or maybe there are kids that just, grow and learn at different speeds and levels.
I think that's absolutely true. There are all people learn and absorb information at different speeds.
I didn't learn how to tie my shoes
I'm
until
just
I was
saying,
9.
like you might have a bright kid who can learn this game at 5.
Oh, yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
Anyway, so like Justin mentioned, these games all encourage memory retention, which is really cool. I love seeing games that, beyond being fun, also have a
Cognitive.
like something you can do or learn from them.
It was
which
really
is
popular
neat.
on Game Boy a few years ago. They were making all those games. That,
When Brain Age came out on the
Brain
DS.
Age.
that was a big thing. Grown-ups started buying games. It was
A mental
Casual
capacity
games.
of 84-year-old. Yeah, I remember that.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't know if it's a good or bad thing. I'm just like,
Maybe you just have like a lot of knowledge in there, or
slow. I guess maybe just a lot of knowledge, but slow.
I was always afraid to play it. I don't want a game to tell me how dumb I am.
You should try Wii Fit.
I've got
man.
family members and loved ones for that.
Oh yeah, Wii Fit. Oh, make you feel uncomfortable about how balancing.
One of the other new things that's happening this week is Asmodee announced accessories for Keyforge, which is pretty big. Obviously, Keyforge has kind of been a phenomenon.
Oh, fancy.
Rarely a
Yeah,
week
Asmodee
goes
Fantasy
by.
Flight.
Yeah.
Rarely a week goes by on this show where we don't at least mention Asmodee or Keyforge.
Yeah, including the rare unaired episode of TableTakes. Was I supposed to say that?
Oh no, we don't
That's
talk
true.
about
We
that
don't talk
one.
about that
Yeah,
one.
okay. Anyways, Keyforge official accessories are coming out later this year. In fact, they're coming out and they will be revealed for that matter. We still don't know exactly what they are. They've kind of given examples of what they're going to be. There are, I believe they talked about high quality tokens, deck boxes, stuff like that. So
Sleeves.
those will all be revealed at the Fantasy Flight Games in-flight report at Gen Con.
Yeah, this is
first weekend of
from
August.
James.
I'm going there.
Genetic.
Hey, me too.
I'll be there as well.
Wow.
Guys, we should go check out what's
We
going to
should
happen with
go,
Keyforge and Gen
yeah.
Con, then we can
Yes.
report back.
Yeah, love it.
So what's interesting too about the in-flight report is that it's actually being streamed for the
yes.
first time ever in history. So if you cannot make it to Gen Con and you're one of those people that constantly refreshes Twitter to see what happened at the in-flight report, guess what? You don't have to do that anymore.
You can
You
just
can
watch.
just have it live
You
streamed.
just- yeah.
I know personally, like the in-flight report is my favorite Gen Con event, just because of all the stuff that happens there. Like
Yeah.
they revealed Keyforge last year at in-flight report and gave everyone in the audience like the first decks that they had made, which was kind of like the first hands-on experience people had with the game. So it should be a good time.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is exactly the stuff that I always miss at Gen Con, like all the really cool events.
'Cause
where
you're
new stuff,
working.
because, yes. It's like, I want to go to that, but there's a show. I have to go to the show.
Oh, yeah.
What else is new this week? Speaking of Fantasy Flight, there's a new expansion for Arkham Horror 3rd Edition announced. It's available for pre-order.
And everybody loves the Arkham Horror.
I haven't played it yet. It looks super interesting though.
Yeah, well, actually, so I was a big fan of the second edition, like not the original from the '80s, but the first Fantasy Flight edition.
That's the one I've played.
One of the first board games I ever owned, and the new Arkham Horror has some really cool stuff happening. They also debuted that at Gen Con last year. The way that like the map is built out as you're playing it and stuff like that is very neat. This new expansion is called Dead of Night. It's going to come with 2 new scenarios, new encounters for every location in Arkham, so like the decks of stuff, the encounters that you have, new monsters and anomalies, 4 new investigators, including, I believe his name is Skids O'Toole. I believe.
Skids O'Toole. That's a great name.
That's my guy.
Yeah.
Like, Skids
Yeah.
O'Toole.
I think I'm getting that name right. Anyway, they have like a whole mythos of like characters in the Fantasy Flight Arkham like universe, and so they're bringing some of those fan favorite characters from the last edition.
I feel like I wouldn't be able to play that game without buying like a detective hat first.
And a pipe.
Like-
When you say
Yeah.
detective hat, you mean like a deer stalker, like Sherlock Holmes?
Yeah.
I know I never play Arkham Horror without like a sort of 40s, 50s noir jazz band for the
Just
evening
in the
in the
background.
room.
Just in
yeah,
the background.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
highly
expensive,
recommended.
but so worth it just for immersion.
Absolutely.
The estimated date for Dead of Night is going to be Q3 2019. It's going to be $30. And
but it's already available for pre-order.
It is available
So
for
if you want to
pre-order.
go ahead and like snatch that up now before you forget about it in 5 minutes.
And
can
also,
do
I
that.
believe, like, if you want an in-depth review, there also is a stream that kind of previews a little bit more snippets about it.
Yeah,
and
I saw
also
that.
hints about a little hush-hush on the other name, the Silence of...
yeah, so they've only named one of the scenarios so far. It's the Silence of Sithagwa, which I believe is how you pronounce that. but-
Sithagwa.
You know, you said it with such confidence that I believe 100% that's how it's said.
Sithagwa. That's how we mic check. You just say Sithagwa.
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 I like my
Sithagwa.
version better.
So someone in chat said third edition uses the app, right?
I believe so. Yeah, I actually haven't played it yet. I was going to sit down and play it when, at the show last year, but I actually have not had a chance to play it. But I believe there is. I know Mansions of Madness uses an app as well, but I think there might be an app component to third edition. Don't quote me on that, but yeah.
Okay, cool. Great, well, thank you.
Yeah. Well, if you guys like darkness, but also don't want the past, but want the future, hey, guess what? I got to tell you something.
What do you got?
I got, so...
I don't like the past, but I like the future.
Let's do the. So guess what? Shadowrun is debuting their new edition. It's not 6th edition. It's Sixth World Edition at Origins. So this weekend, Derek and Emma are going to get their hands on first for the demo pack. So what it is, it's a
They
beginner
better come
box.
back with good info, is what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
They better
Pretty
come back
much.
with a beginner box for me.
Yeah, with a
That's what I'm
beginner box.
saying.
That's why I'm like, man, get the bin. So it's going to be on the streets July 10th for everybody, all you non-Origin there people.
So in less than a month.
So less than a month, yes. So you have it's the Neo Anarchist is going to be Speedio just released on Wednesday. It'll be available there as well. It's so pretty much it's supposed to supplement. The Neo Anarchist is going to be for those who are still stuck in 5th edition. It's going to try to bring you slightly like a transition into the 6th World Edition. That's what they're doing.
It's technically a 5th edition supplement, but it's all lore, so it should merge seamlessly with all the 6th World stuff that you're getting.
Yes, it does.
Also, it's
Interesting.
called a Streetpedia.
Streetpedia, yes.
It's a Streetpedia, which
That's very Shadowrunny.
yeah, it's
very
deep in the
Shadowrunny.
streets, deep, like everything Shadowrun, deep in the streets.
Unfortunately, they
Deep
are
in the
not going to be changing the lore for Shadowrun, so you might have to go through the past books to understand how to get into the 6th World. But they're hoping that it's going to be less clunky in terms of rule sets, because I love Shadowrun, but I know what a beast it is in terms of how does this? Oh my God! Okay, bioweb. Oh God!
Just grab a handful of dice and toss them.
Toss them. How many dice? Just all of them.
I actually signed up for some Shadowrun events at Gen Con this year because I've actually never played it. I'm only familiar. So I'm a big fan of Shadowrun, like the setting and the story and all that stuff, and I've played the video games. That has been my main gateway to it. But
Those
I've actually
games are great.
Yeah, but I've actually never played the actual tabletop RPG. So I'm going to be creating a runner and getting in a short 2-hour module. It should be fun. I'm excited.
It was the first game where I ever played a full campaign
Oh, wow.
of
Oh,
anything
really?
for a role-playing game, so I've got very, very soft spots for the Shadowruns.
But yes.
So the beginner box that's available at Origins, that's kind of like your starter set if you want to get into the tabletop thing. And then when the core rules come out at Gen Con,
Yes, at Gen
that's
Con.
sort of like basically if you have the beginner box and the core rules, that's kind of everything you need to get going with SR6. SR6? Okay.
Should be.
6 does, as an exciting news for people who liked being deckers, which are
Which is one of the biggest pains in the butt of playing the old editions of the game.
yeah,
Why?
they
I
actually
feel like people love that class, though.
Yeah.
they do.
Yeah.
It's a great class, but confusing to play.
Well,
in
and
some
it
ways.
requires pretty much an entire separate session with the GM.
Yes.
So the rest of the
So,
players
like,
are kind of
to do
sitting
your
out-
hacking and
to
stuff?
do-
Yeah,
yeah,
to your
they-
hacking.
They made it because it's like a whole other world that you're hacking into. So you're basically running an adventure by yourself while the rest of the party is maybe protecting your
'cause you're
body
there
while you're
and you're
sitting
just
there
like,
drooling with it.
That sounds
Cords
amazing.
hanging out of your
That sounds
head.
amazing. When you tell me that, I'm like, yes, I would like to play that because at the end of that session, I want to be fully able to commit cybercrime in a dystopian future at some
Yes.
point. You know what I mean?
Well, you're not really ever a good person in Shadowrun, let's be
Yeah,
honest.
Well, you can be. You just don't make it very far.
But yeah,
So-
so the Decker rules are going to be clean. From what
Which means that means seamless play between the rest of your party and you as the decker. in that scenario.
Yes, so it's a little bit, they cleaned it up a
Everybody
little bit.
gets to play again,
Yeah.
which is nice.
That's good.
Yeah.
So in chat, Cranston said the Shadowrun missions at Gen Con will be 5th edition. That's absolutely correct. However, they are debuting 6th World, at the show. So you'll be able to pick up the core rulebook of 6th World at the show, but all the events at Gen Con will
Are
Oh,
be
5th.
are 5th.
I
Yep.
gotcha.
Yes.
Indeed. Well,
Which,
great.
which is a great reason why you should check out Neo-Anarchist Streetpedia. If you're like me and you're going to be experiencing kind of
Yeah,
5
absolutely.
for the
Check
first
it
time
out.
with 6 coming out.
I wonder if there's any other dystopia news about RPGs.
Oh no, never.
No?
We don't. We actually, that's it for today.
Oh, no?
No, not really. We have plenty more to go. Modifius just announced a Fallout Wasteland Warfare RPG. Now, if you are familiar, they did a Wasteland Warfare miniatures war game not too long ago. This basically expands on those rules, so we have a fully functional Fallout tabletop RPG, which I want. I want it.
Badly.
Badly.
Badly. I do.
Oh.
I'm in love with the Fallout series. I always have been. It's ridiculous and, has all of the great post-apocalyptic-y tropes that I like. And I'm looking forward to it just because I spend a lot of time making those characters on that game.
And if you're a fan, if you're a fan of the games and you just can't wait for Bethesda to do another one, having something set in that universe.
You can make your own game.
Exactly.
That's
Yes.
right.
Exactly.
I can go shoot all the raiders I want.
Lead a man to fish and he'll eat for a day. Right? Teach
But
a man
they're-
to fish.
Teach a man to
Teach a
fish.
fish.
Yeah.
and
Lead a
he'll-
horse to fish. He'll eat for a day.
Yes, yeah,
Teach a
that's
man to
exact-
horse.
And he'll
I
shoot
forget
a
how it
fish.
goes.
You
Right.
shoot a fish. There you go. Yeah.
That's right.
So it's going to be basically fairly simple. It's all set in the default Fallout era, around where Fallout 4 was set.
Capital City, Washington, D.C.
That's
Right.
Fallout 3.
You're right.
Fallout 4 is Boston,
Yeah,
man.
you're right.
Boston.
Sorry.
Boston.
Bastin.
The Commonwealth. That's
Yes, the Great Commonwealth. You can be able to start with different archetypes. You can be a raider, which is probably a bad idea because they get shot a lot by me. Not to mention your Brotherhoods of Steel. You can be a super mutant if you want, which, that might be fun to play.
Super mutants. Well, because you get to talk "Rrr."
I think all you really do is just, I think as a
Smash.
super mutant, your whole job is just to hang out in a building and wait for me to show up and shoot you.
Or you can snipe them from afar and go, "Hello." It's pretty much all.
You picked your class for our upcoming session.
So we build with these archetypes. I realize it's got some very, very crunchy rules as far as the gaming goes because it is based on a war miniatures game. So it's just an expansion of those rules. So combat's going to be very, very tactical. And given that Modifius has just announced an Elder Scrolls mini war game, which they did with Fallout this last year, that might mean that we finally get our Elder Scrolls role-playing game just around the corner.
Ooh.
And that's
Very
exciting
hint,
too.
Hinty.
Because I can't stop playing Skyrim either, even though it's been out for 10 years.
Yeah, and it runs on your microwave now.
Yeah.
It's on every platform. On
Everything.
It's crazy.
If I can play it on Switch, it's a thing that happens. So we're going to be seeing that hopefully as early as Christmas, I think, and we're probably going to be seeing some previews of it around the Gen Con period.
Ooh.
Looking forward to it.
So let's see, we've got a standalone version coming out, and then they've got their other RPG that's based on their D20 system used in Mutant Chronicles, and we've gone over these games in the past also, which means that there are 2 Fallout RPGs coming out, which makes it maybe twice as exciting. Except I'm not a big fan of the second system. So I'm really excited about the first one, but also pretty excited about the second one.
Good stuff if you like post-apocalyptia.
Yeah.
In chat, we have a Fallout Rifts merge.
Oh, of course.
Of a
Everything
character.
is riffs.
Tell me more.
Have you heard about Rifts, Christian?
What about these riffs?
Have I heard of? No, tell me.
So apparently we're making a character that's Keanu Reeves with a My Little Pony mount with a Thomas the Tank Engine gun and glitter boy boots.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see that.
Shiny.
Shiny.
Very shiny. The idea is shiny. Glitter
Well,
boy
wait.
boots are important
Now
too.
they have to also be shiny and chrome too. That has to be
Right.
allowed as well.
Together.
Yeah,
definitely.
together.
But if you add the Fallout, you have to put a layer of dirt over everything.
Oh, yes, yes.
That's also important.
Dirt.
That's
Dirt.
true.
So throw dirt on all the pretty stuff you just made, and you have a Fallout game.
Oh man, I'm talking about all these portals. Guess what? With portals, did you guys know there's a new Stargate RPG coming out?
Yeah, it's called Rifts.
No, it's not Rifts.
That's 3 mentions of Rifts for those of you who are keeping track at home.
But yeah.
Yes, for those of you playing the TableTakes drinking game.
I thought we were playing that right now.
Are we not? Oh no. All right, but yeah, Wyron Games announced that they have the license to produce a Stargate role-playing game, which is going to be different from the 2003 version from Alderac.
Which was a D20 based system.
D20, but this one's going to be 5th edition based rules. So
right.
everybody's rolling into those 5th edition rules now. It's set to be released next year, summer 2020, 2020. And
2020, the year of Stargate. You heard it here first, folks.
They plan to do a not only just a regular RPG game, but a living campaign that you can like change dynamically who volunteers. So like whatever your campaign does affects the world in this living campaign. So that I always think that's
kind of
living
interesting.
campaigns are hard to pull off.
They are. It's called the Stargate missions, though.
Ooh,
You're all just different teams going to fight the OG, not actually Egyptian gods, but totally Egyptian gods.
Sure.
Golus. All right, I'm very bad at
Gwauld, right? No, they said it. I watched that show once.
Yeah.
Gwauld.
Golus.
It sounds like there's going to be a preview at Gen Con, so even though it's coming out next year, you'll be able to check it out.
Yep, you will be able to.
That's rad.
More stuff you can preview at?
I feel like the box set should come with maybe like an injection molded token that you can stick to your forehead.
Oh, that would be cool.
You're just full of ideas today.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Christian is full of ideas
All the time.
every day.
All the
to be
time.
They're
honest.
not all good.
What happens
is
if you
true.
walk through, like if they're doing a preview at Gen Con and you walk through that Stargate, is that like on the other side? Are you still technically at the show? Is it still Gen Con on the other side of the Stargate?
It's in a different dimension.
Yeah.
There. Yeah, it's in a Stargate Rift with Doctor
So
Who.
I should have my badge on me if I'm going to walk through
Yeah.
How would you
Yeah.
tell who is cosplaying?
But in that dimension, it's a hard G. So you call it Gen Con.
Gen Con.
Gen
Yes.
Con. Yes.
Got it.
But yeah.
We never use the hard G.
But yeah. Oh, also, I know we're done with like the main nudes, but isn't there also something exciting happening tomorrow?
Oh, no, I don't think so. I mean, unless you're talking about free RPG day tomorrow, which I'm a little excited about too. Mostly because I have the day off and I can go to my local game store and find out what they
exciting.
have on offer.
I've never been to a free RPG day. What's it all about?
It's like free comic book day,
Okay,
except with RPGs.
that's rad.
Ooh.
Yeah, they
That's rad.
give you, there's modules, little dice that they do for it. Just like you get a bag of cool crap that you get to take home
know,
and say, I didn't pay for any of this stuff.
Paizo.
And then another bag
Paizo's-
of stuff you bought while you were at the store, which
That
means
you
that
definitely paid
marketing
for.
campaign is working.
Right, exactly. Paizo's doing a beginning Starfinder, I believe, adventure.
Oh, yes, absolutely. That'd be awesome.
I think so. Well, I know Paizo's doing a couple things for Free RPG Day tomorrow, so I definitely want to check those out because I love role-playing games. I have not played any Starfinder yet, though, and so hearing that I could possibly get a beginner adventure module, I'm pretty into that.
So our booth at Gen Con is right next to the Paizo booth, and I was so excited about Starfinder coming out, but when they had the release, like there was a line that I went way around,
Yeah.
and I'm at the booth right next to it, standing next to the line, knowing for a fact that I'm not going to get one of those books. And I was very lucky that a fan came, because I complained about it. A fan went through that line for me and brought me that book. So I played Starfinder like
you
every
put
week
it-
for like 6 months
That
after
was
that.
really
'cause-
nice of them.
Yeah,
Don't you know how to do negotiation deals with your neighbor, though? That should be like a
Oh,
thing.
absolutely.
true,
And-
yeah.
and-
Like,
but
hey.
it was also like the first day, and it wasn't. That's not usually a great time to set up those negotiation deals because they're busy unloading 9 trucks of stuff that they have to have set up by the next day.
I will say, as having gone to Gen Con for the first time last year, one of the most impressive sights at the show was the Paizo ballroom gameplay area. It was
my gosh.
massive, like humongous people playing
It's the-
Pathfinder and Starfinder. It
It's
was
the
insane.
size of an aircraft hangar.
Yeah, but it was like 24/7. Like I'd walk by at like 3 in the morning, and it was filled with people. It was amazing. Yeah, definitely check it out if you're.
Starfinder's a great game if they've got an adventure published for it that they're going to be giving away for free RPG Day. I say go get it because it's a great system.
It is. All right, well, that's the headlines for today.
So go to your local game store and ask what they've got available for free RPG Day tomorrow. That's not today, that's tomorrow, Saturday. Go. There you go. That's going to bring us all the way to bundles.
Bundles.
Bundles! And that's me. That's me.
You're the
I'm the
bundle
I'm the
boss.
bundle boss. I didn't give myself that name, but I don't hate it.
It's very alliterative.
It is.
Bundle boss.
I like
Bundle boss.
alliterative names because of my superhero background. I was a teenage sidekick in a former life. So the bundle of holding this week has the, and I don't know how to pronounce that, and I'm not going to pretend that I do, Tecumel?
Sounds right to me. That's how I would say it.
Yeah, Tecumel. That's what I've decided on is the pronunciation of the name of this game, which is important if you're a gamer. Why is it important? Because it's basically the second role-playing game that ever came out. You know, only one person gets to be first, but also only one person gets to be second.
A truism I cannot argue.
So it's like a very, very old school setting, but it went in a way, like it came out at the same time as D&D, but it went in a completely different wacko direction. You know, Gygax put D&D and made it very, very Tolkien-esque. You know, the way that the spells worked was a little bit different, but aside from that, you had your elves and your dwarves and your hobbits with different names. So this was a complete departure from that. Long gone are many of the fantasy tropes that have become basically canon at this point. When we think of a fantasy setting, we think of these things. This didn't do that. This decided to fling us into the far future, and that makes you think space. And then it throws you into another planet, and you're thinking, more space. And then it puts you on this world that was a resort world for humans for thousands of years, and you think more space. And then that world gets sucked into another dimension, and they lose all their technology, and they are living in darkness for 50,000 years, and magic takes over, and then some gods show up, and it's just a weird place.
What?
Okay.
It was created by a professor of South Asian studies. So it draws a lot of things from Middle Eastern culture, North African culture. It's got just the weirdest setting ever. And I having looked into it, I've noticed that in the pictures, none of these people wear pants.
Well,
When was the last time you went to a resort world and wore pants?
Just the once.
Yeah.
Just the ones.
Well,
How do you know that we're not all not wearing pants right now?
exactly.
I checked before the show, guys.
that sounds like a wild setting. That
Yeah.
sounds like a wild
It's
setting.
very, very
It's
wild.
Like, it's like Warhammer.
Yeah.
It's like Warhammer 40K meets like National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Yeah, but before any of that stuff, it was developed by M.A.R. Barker, and it was originally published by TSR back in 1975. They were going to make it originally a supplement to the original D&D, but decided to release it as its own box set, complete with its own core rules. And for
That is
some
wild,
reason, it never
yeah.
caught on, but it's got a very, very dedicated, if small, following throughout the world. And people even stream games of it.
Yeah.
That's
It sounds really interesting.
It does.
So if that also sounds interesting to you, where can they find it?
They can find it on Bundle of Holding right now. They can pick up all the basic stuff for like $6.95, and then pick up all the supplements for like another $17.
Like this is like the original 1975.
This is actually based on the 1987 reprint.
Okay.
And the early 90s supplements that they had for it, but it's all, perfectly preserved PDF form. The typeset still looks like it's from the 80s.
Awesome.
Awesome.
That's great.
Yes. It's all in papyrus. No. Just
Is that our only bundle for the week?
That is our only bundle for the week. One of the things that it comes with, though, is notes from what they called their Thursday night sessions. Why that's interesting is because these guys were one of the very first tables. Like, they were one of the very first role-playing game groups that played weekly in history.
Interesting.
oh, really?
So they've
So
got
how's
notes from all of their Thursday night sessions, and
Okay.
they're very, very meticulous. Like, this guy planned out his world building basically
We all
around
have
his
that
game
friend,
night,
right?
and did a fantastic job of it,
Justin
in
is
my
that
opinion.
friend.
Awesome.
So there you go. That's everything you need to know about Tecumel. Check it out on Bundle of Holding this week. Bundle Boss out.
Thank you, Bundle Boss.
Thank you. Domo.
We have some cool Kickstarters this week too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Check it.
Who's our Kickstarter
Well,
queen?
so I
You know, the
figured,
Kickstarter queen.
we don't have Kickstarter.
what if this week we did Kickstarter Court
Here.
instead of
Yeah.
Kickstarter
Wait,
Queen?
like court
No.
or court?
How about why not both?
Brr.
Okay, yeah, I'm in. We'll hold Kickstarter court right here at the anvil.
Is it like night court?
Hashtag Kickstarter Court.
Wait. So what kind of court? Do we have to also, like, is it a dark court? So we have to wear, like, hoodies and be very...
No, we all know each other at this point. Keeping our identity secret is
Ah,
That'd be
almost
difficult.
worthless.
It would be difficult.
Plus, we would lose followers.
Everyone's here for your pretty face, Christian. We all know that.
Yeah, well,
I'm here for his encyclopedic knowledge of Tecumel, but I mean,
It's barely encyclopedic. Justin, tell us about a Kickstarter.
All right.
What's coming up?
So first up today, we've got Too Many Bones, Splice and Dice, plus a complete, hopefully, reprint of the entire Too Many Bones series. So if you're not familiar with Too Many Bones, it's this really unique, interesting world from Chip Theory Games. Chip Theory does Too Many Bones. That's like their newest project. They've done some other games as well. A lot of their stuff has to do. They use components in really interesting ways. So with Too Many Bones, they have this really cool dice-based sort of game system that they've created where you pick a character called a Gearlock, and the game is built around unlocking their skills and abilities using dice and combat using dice and stuff like that. And so this Kickstarter is going to be for Splice and Dice, which is an expansion that is going to feature new Gearlocks. It's going to feature Tyrant creation. Tyrants are kind of like the big bad of this universe, and you also use dice to kind of like create them and their powers and stuff like that. So that's going to be what's in Splice and Dice. But also the Kickstarter is hoping to fund a complete reprint of all the Too Many Bones stuff that's come out. The game is actually, in the series, has actually picked up a pretty decent following. There's a lot of people who play it, who really like it, and it's really unique. I know that Ricky Royal from YouTube, his YouTube channel, does a lot of Too Many Bones videos. So he's a good person to watch if you're looking for like a primer on the series.
Ricky Royal?
Ricky Royal, yeah.
What a cool name.
Right? And he's British.
There you go.
There you go.
And the other interesting thing about this actually is that Too Many Bones up to this point has been Kickstarter only. It has never gone to retail. So the only way that you have been able to get it has been through their Kickstarter campaigns that they have done.
Wow.
So this is an opportunity for you to jump in if it looks interesting to you, you want to try it to get in on that because they're trying to fund a whole reprint for the series. But it's a co-op game, or you can play it solo. It's got RPG elements, obviously, with like building your character and stuff like that. So
Plus, you're using dice to battle, which is a core RPG element.
Absolutely. So I believe this ends very soon. This sheet says ends in under an hour, but I read that maybe like an hour ago. So like
Check on it right now.
Yeah,
Like,
check on it
right
right
now.
now.
Click the
Yeah.
link right now.
Click the link. Click the link.
Too Many Bones. It sounds really uncomfortable. Like I'm just like kind of uncomfortable.
many bones?
You know who doesn't have too many bones? Guiji.
Are we starting this battle again?
Are we doing this? Are we doing
Are we
this?
doing this?
Cute.
I don't care.
Yeah, it does sound very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But it's actually, the art style is actually very adorable and cute. The Gearlocks are kind of like, they're like elves meet Smurfs meet gnomes, kind of.
Meet Borks.
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 Sure. Yeah.
They're like Smurfs.
Yeah.
If I
Squishy.
imagined this game without you telling me anything about it, which you just did, so thank you for that, I would imagine. Remember that surgery game from when you were a kid called Operation?
Oh yeah.
Never heard of it.
What? Really? Oh, okay.
Everyone knows Operation.
Well, you said it so convincingly. I would imagine like you just keep putting bones in the patient.
Reverse Operation? That should be an event at Gen Con. Reverse Operation. Bring your own bones, see how many you can shove into the corpse.
But without touching the sides.
Yes, exactly. I'm gonna file that one for next year.
I'm pretty sure
organizing
they've banned reverse operation at all conventions.
But we need to know. How else can we?
I would play the heck out of a reverse operation. I'm just letting it be known right now.
Well, I'm gonna have to borrow some money from somebody to buy this game. Do you know about any games that involve borrowing money from things?
I sure do.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So our next Kickstarter is called Dragon's Interest, which is kind of cool. So it's you borrow gold from a dragon, which is seems dangerous. It doesn't seem like a good idea.
I've seen that movie. It ends badly.
But if you can't pay her back, bad things happen, which you might imagine. So
Bad things like getting set on fire and eaten?
I think that's a core game mechanic, is setting things on fire as we establish.
Oh, so we have to start the game by setting them.
Because you're not borrowing gold from your Uncle Ray.
No, exactly. So the way that works is that players bid different interest rates to Dragon to have the first opportunity to take a loan. So the whole game is about how big of it's kind of a risk reward game, right? Like how big of a loan can you take without
Going broke.
suffering the spite of the dragon.
The collectors.
Right, exactly. So what you do is you kind of try to build your kingdom out through loans from the dragon. Then based on what buildings you have in your kingdom, you can conduct certain secret negotiations, different plot lines with the game. So it's kind of, like you want to take out loans, but at the same time, you don't want to.
You need money
Not
to
be
make
able to
money. You
pay
need
it
money to
back.
make money.
Yeah.
You gotta have money to make money.
But that dragon, though.
Yeah.
Literally, you guys can't see our notes, but like there's literally a line that if you just read in no context, it might be my favorite note ever. If you can't pay the dragon interest, it will destroy your kingdom.
Yeah.
That should be on the box, frankly. That should be the tagline on the box.
I don't think it
destroy
needs to
it.
be. I mean, it's fully in the no S
I know.
category.
Pax.
Okay.
Pax, exactly. That's what I was saying. Pax says you never borrow gold from a dragon. People, come on. I know.
Or
right?
hearts. Or
Max,
hearts
you're
from
smart.
a dragon. You shouldn't bother hearts.
Don't do it.
Unless they're the dragons from my world, which don't use gold anymore because there's space and the galactic credits took over, so they just sleep on collectibles now.
Yeah, it's actually kind of hard, the concept of actually dragons loaning the money, because aren't they like hoarders?
They're hoarders, but I feel so. This dragon seems
They don't
to
like to be called that.
much more in the vein of like a Tom Nook or like a Western Union, let's say.
Yeah, I think this dragon is interested in business. It sounds like.
Business dragon.
Business
Look,
dragon.
look. I'm a business dragon.
It has a tie.
Does it also have glasses as
Yeah,
well?
it's in business.
It's in business. You can't have.
Hold on, I gotta take this.
Oh,
Little Bluetooth.
It includes a little.
Aren't the dragons in Shadowrun business dragons? Don't they own?
you
one?
actually,
quite a
they
few of
are.
them.
They
I mean,
are.
how about that for
And
a
they all
callback?
have creepy German names.
Yeah, exactly. Feuerschwinge. Anyways.
So
Yeah,
Dragon's
they're all-
Interest is based on the same mechanics as Ponzi Scheme, which
Very
I know is a
popular
really
game.
popular game. 3 to
Same
5
designer,
powers,
right?
3 to 5 players. Jesse Lee, yeah, both. Jesse Lee designed them both.
Jesse Lee.
And then it's
Also a
another
cool name.
game that ends today in just a few hours. So if that sounds interesting to you, or if you want to check it out, now's the time to check it out.
It's Ponzi scheme with dragons. It's gonna be great.
Business Dragons.
Business dragon.
Someone get Flight of the Conchords on the line right now.
Business dragon.
All right, what's next in Kickstarter court?
Well, let's see. The court
court
calls
is out.
forth.
Dark
that's
Trails.
Me. Look at that.
That's
the
you.
Dark Trails RPG. Okay. Let's
Roll
go.
the sleeves.
All right. Okay. Yeah. No, I probably should. All right.
Weird West.
That's right. Weird West says a lot of things. Weird West obviously screams Deadlands, which is
Yes.
the quintessential, Weird West setting. This is taking it in a slightly different direction and basing it more upon the Cthulhu mythos. So we're gonna get gunfighters with that serve a dark lord who cannot be named lest it takes their mind and their very sanity.
But you can buy the plushies.
I don't know if there's plushies for this. So this is this. It's basically built on a modified version of Dungeon Crawl Classics. So it's going to be very, very third edition like as far as the gameplay. It's got a bunch of weird character classes like let's see, Montebanks, like the snake oil salesman, who travel in their wagon.
Yeah.
They're there to sell you things to keep Cthulhu away, I guess. The ferrymen of
I
the
guess.
underworld, Bedlamites.
Bedlamites.
Bedlamites. They're just mad scientists with different names and probably several forms of gunslinger and or gambler and or sheriff and or whore with heart of gold.
Love it.
Sure. Weird West.
But yeah, it's
Hashtag
going to be
Weird West.
it's Cthulhu Deadlands, and you play it in a D20 system. It's got 2 days left. If you like Deadlands but want something a little bit more accessible to people who like tentacles, try this out.
And who doesn't like tentacles? Am I right?
Everybody loves tentacles. Ask Luigi.
Again?
Yeah, why not? It's a callback. It's called a callback.
Again, Gooigi.
Luigi.
Y'all. Y'all. All right.
Okay.
When does that end? 2 days left?
2 days, yeah. 2
right.
days left.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And of course, gunfighting rules and fear and madness effects are a big part of the game because it's
Yeah. Cthulhu.
Cthulhu.
Do you want to know what's opposite of the West?
What is it the East?
It is the East.
Oh my God.
Oh
I
my
just- I
gosh.
passed
you're
geography
excited.
at TableTakes.
What a
Yes.
plot twist.
A plot twist because Hearts of Uli is going to come out. It's a very very Eastern based kind of game, but it is more of a a Wuxia kind of thing. If you don't know what that is,
Wuxia. It's
Wuxia. Wuxia. It is a type of crouching tiger, hidden dragon
Yep,
type
it's-
of game setting.
Yeah, wire fu.
Wire
Think wire
fu.
fu.
Okay.
It's,
And all about everybody has players have to have, when you start the game, you actually have to have a conflict between another player of you.
Oh,
So
cool.
you can be secretly in love with this character, but they murdered your father. So
Common wuxia plot.
common,
That's awesome.
common plots. So.
I mean, that's how Justin and I met. To be
Oh,
honest.
so
Whose father?
romantic.
This is so romantic already.
So romantic. But yeah, it's powered by the apocalypse.
Which is a system, not
with
the end of the
system.
world.
Yeah, which is not.
Yeah, okay, just making
it's
sure.
a system.
We do a lot of Powered by the Apocalypse games here.
But yeah, it's let's see, available. It's going to be available for free. It's available for free right now.
The playtest pack
The
is.
playtest packet
Yeah.
is, and then backers will then receive, like later on, you'll receive more and more of the book if you back up this Kickstarter. So it's not like, oh, you only get this one little piece. When you start to like get more and more of the pieces as they develop more and more.
And then eventually you can play a whole game.
Eventually, but yes, like the two.
I mean, I don't think that's fair to say, right? I know you're joking.
I
but
am joking.
But I think the cool thing about this is that the writers of these games happen to be like two like women of Asiatic backgrounds actually developing this game. So it's kind of like
that's
really
cool.
really cool that there's actually some cultural significance behind this.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's about 2.5 days left for this.
Actually, that sounds really cool. I mean, it's not Cats and Catacombs level of interest for me, but definitely that sounds very interesting for sure.
I like that they took all of the really, really important elements of the genre and actually used them. The
game mechanics.
Yeah, and plus the player versus player conflict that's always there in the background.
Which they're calling entanglements. That's like their role.
Entanglements.
I love this. It's like it ensures that every player has some sort of dark secret, passion, or conflict with every player. And I'm like, I always have those in every RPG I'm in, just other people don't know that.
Right, but they're part of the game.
Yeah,
and they've made it
yeah,
very
mechanically.
and the Apocalypse engine is so great for stuff like that anyway, because the way you build your characters is generally as a group. So having that inter-party
awesome.
conflict from the very beginning and knowing what those threads between
That
those
is
characters
awesome.
are, this is actually the perfect engine for this
And
type
there's
of game.
also a cool thing. I know you like PvP. This is actually
do
a
like
PvP.
PvP.
You can actually start a fight with another player at the table, and it's not dice rolling mechanics. It's more of like, ha! I will go ahead and narrowly tell you that you are a fart butt, and I insult your family and your cow.
Yes.
The Fartbutt family has been in this town for 300 years.
I'm in.
Our
Although,
cows paid for your wedding, you fool.
I think I could use my Cats and Catacombs minis with this.
You almost certainly could.
Yeah. So,
I'm in.
Okay, so that's got how long to go?
2 more days.
2 more days. Boy, jump on that, especially if you like the wire foo style of
Wow.
storytelling, which I'm a big fan of. I've
Totally.
seen like every Toy Hawk movie ever. Mm-hmm. This
This is you again.
is me again.
But you have to. So our next Kickstarter is a very Derek Kickstarter.
This is very
and,
Derek.
And since Derek couldn't join us today, he's at Origins. Christian, can you maybe like do a Derek impression? Like, can you do Derek for us?
I don't think I would ever do that on camera, and because if it's bad, Derek will never let me hear the end of it, and if it's really good, no one else will let me ever hear the end of it.
All right. All
But
right.
I will attempt his enthusiasm. At least his enthusiasm.
Okay.
Derek levels of enthusiasm.
Memento Mori is it's a Victorian Gothic campaign setting. Basically, what we're doing is if you want to play a dark Gothic fantasy setting in 5th edition, this is it for you, folks. It purposely stays away from the regular 5e high fantasy tropes to create something dark and moody. Mm-hmm. It features unusual additions, making it more steampunk,
Yeah, it's a little
steamships, zeppelins,
steampunky,
trains,
yeah.
weird science, big ass bee.
Wasp.
Why is there a
It's like, is somebody operating a tiny drone that just tried to fly in Justin's face? That was awesome. Okay.
Someone clip that.
Wasp. Ugh,
So yeah,
nature.
it's got some 4 new races, 3 altered classes from our regular, such as the alchemist, witch, and the witch hunter.
Yes.
Yes.
Probably don't want them in the same party. Just throwing that out there. One of the central concepts of Memento Mori is that all magic is evil. Oh, I can see why he liked this. And it comes from a dreadful source. So if you have magic powers, chances are you have signed some sort of dark pact with an otherworldly being. I really see why he liked this. That you have to answer to eventually in exchange for your great cosmic power.
Okay, so there's no like paladin,
No.
druid.
Basically, all of the
kinda-
spellcasters in this system are different flavors of warlocks.
So
Okay,
you should
okay.
burn them because they're witches. So more burning? Is that what I'm hearing? We have to burn.
More burning.
More burning!
All right, I think the theme for today is fire. There's 3 days left on this Kickstarter, and you can check it out right now. I recommend you do it before Monday if that's your jam.
As far as Kickstarters with 3 days left go, how's that for a segue?
That was
with
so
these,
good.
With these subject materials.
Why
transition.
do they have me come here?
I'm about to shift gears real hard, so pushing the clutch in right now. So I am a bit of a grognard in training, so I'm going to warn everyone right now. A big war game fan, big historic war game fan. The next Kickstarter we've got is a game called From Salerno to Rome, which is a Hex Encounter World War II war game from Sergio Schiavi, I believe is the Italian way to pronounce that. This is his
Just
second.
say all the vowels and you should be safe.
I feel like with your last name, you should be able to just like inherently pronounce
Wow,
Italian names.
expectations.
Maybe racist ones.
Way to lump all these people together.
I'm pretty good at Scandinavian things. I feel like I don't know.
Yeah, it's like eating fish for breakfast.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm pretty excellent at drinking.
See.
So from Salerno to Rome, it's a World War II Hex Encounter war game. It actually looks really nice. The graphic design on it. It is get this. It's a 2-mapper. Okay, 2 maps side by side. So if you're into the big like table hogging World War II games, this might be something you want to check out. I know I am. So it's going to be kind of in the style like classic Hex Encounter. It's going to have 550 counters. Units are going to artillery is going to play a big role. You'll have units. It's going to simulate the first 10 months of the World War II Italian campaign, which was the landing in Salerno and Sicily, pushing the Germans back across the Straits of Messina, all the way to the capture of Rome in World War II. There's going to be a couple different scenarios. You've got a short 2-hour scenario, but I mean, who plays that when you've got the full 12-hour 2-map campaign game? Am I right? Am I right? Yeah, you guys seem really excited. I'm really excited. So check that out. It's got 3 days left if you're a war game fan, and I'd be happy to come back anytime and talk about things like the OCS system and other war game.
So like
type
you're going to do a
deals.
marathon stream.
As I don't know anything about that stuff, I would love to hear that.
Great. Let's chat after this.
Okay,
Justin is the war game
I am.
Aficionado.
subject matter.
Aficionado.
That's
there.
right. That's also
Expert.
Italian.
Ah.
Just
I am.
like
Which you
you.
knew because
Yeah.
of your name.
Yes.
Casino.
What's next? Segue that.
Oh.
Wow.
Oh, watch
Whoa.
me go.
Whoa.
Watch me go. All right. 3 days left. Make a decision or don't. There's no reason to be fickle. Speaking of fickle.
I thought you were about to do like some like witch's brew,
No.
like spell
Medieval
casting.
No, no,
Like,
no, never on
3
Fridays.
days left.
I don't. I never cast spells on Friday. I eat clam chowder. I'm Catholic.
Did you see the clam chowder popsicle on Twitter today?
No, I did
sick.
not.
No,
It's
no.
gross.
Don't ever tell me about that
Yeah,
again.
you're gonna see it before the day's out. I guarantee you.
No.
That's the
Oh
worst.
God, why?
No.
So, Kristen, you've got.
And
I
not
even tossed you
clam chowder news. Thank you.
Why you got to make this about chowder?
Fickle is a fairy board game featuring art from Amy Brown. So Amy Brown is pretty much your quintessential fairy fantasy artist. If you've seen fairy art, honestly,
It's not by Brian Froud.
and it's not by Brian Froud.
Or Rebecca Gay.
Or Rebecca Gay as well. That's right. It's probably Amy Brown, right? Like, so honestly, I would say Amy Brown's probably the most, excuse me, sorry if I didn't.
You have an alert.
I have some notifications happening.
Everybody wants to talk to you.
Everyone wants to talk about
Talk to them.
Fickle.
A fairy board
Fickle,
game featuring the
yeah.
art of Amy Brown.
So it's like a set collection game with unique scoring and kind of press your luck mechanics. So it kind of, you're able to customize your gameplay, and then also, has that gorgeous art on it. And so that one only has a few days left as well. So if you're into fairy art, if you kind of want a lightweight game, and you like Amy Brown, I mean, honestly, just check out her art. in general. She does amazing fantasy art. That one has a few days left on it.
Cool. But what if I want adventure on the high seas, but also want to be able to play as a small terrier?
Hey. By the way, I have news for you that you're gonna love. Hey, have you ever heard of this game called Pugmire? I don't
Yes!
It's
I mean, yes.
Yeah, I don't know. It might not be that popular to people. It's like a, fantasy game where you can either play a dog or a dog.
It's D&D with puppies. Of
It's
course I
D&D
know
with
what it is.
puppies.
Play as a dog
And then,
or a dog.
or you could also do this Monarchs of Mao, which is maybe cat involved. But now, guess what? You can take your dogs and cats to sea.
Hooray!
Hooray! So, yes.
Without a carrier?
No, without a carrier. They're
Without a quarantine procedure?
But yeah, so this is a chronicle source book of Realms of Pugmire world.
Pogmire is a
Pugmire.
completely different.
Yeah,
Like
that's a D&D setting where all of the characters are actually just little cardboard tokens.
But yeah, so unfortunately, the sea is like an acid sea that you're going out onto this. So it's super dangerous.
It's like dark water
It's like dark water.
from the Pirates of Dark Water.
Yes, but you also get new creatures that you encounter: lizards and birds.
Wait, can you play as a lizard or a bird?
Yes, you can. You now can play as a lizard or bird. They are expanding slowly to all the various
Yeah,
animals.
we're breaking into all the niche pet markets. So if you're one of those people that thinks lizards and birds are cute,
Yes.
Okay,
now you
hold
can play
on.
as one of those.
I actually have not heard of Pugmire before. This is the first time I have.
Oh.
I know.
Were you not on the show that day when we
No,
talked about
I
it? Oh my
wasn't.
God. Okay.
To me, it sounds like if your pets played Sea of Thieves and were like, we want a tabletop game about this, is what it sounds like.
So Realms of Pugmire is basically it's essentially Dungeons and Dragons. The system is a mix between like the 3.5 and then the new 5th edition OGL.
Okay.
They've kind of mushed together in a
Okay.
very interesting way. Character classes, races, except you get to play as adorable little animals.
Dogs and cats.
Dogs and cats.
Dogs
She's
and
gonna
cats?
melt.
And they have little figurines.
Yeah,
too.
and we've showed the figurines on TableTakes before, but they're,
Well,
you've got a little
I
bard with his cute little jowls and his little teethers. And
I
just
can
love it.
definitely
And
use
there's
my
puns.
cats and catacombs
Lots of
minis with
puns.
Oh
this.
yes, no, they're basically made for that game.
Oh,
Yes.
wow. Okay, well,
Yeah.
I know I made fun of them when we first started talking about them because they didn't go to any particular game, but they should go to this
this.
game.
I'm inserting them in any campaign.
Agreed.
That's what I got them for.
Yeah.
I'm going to be that person that shows up and I'm like,
With your
I would
cat
like to
interest?
play this character.
But yeah, it's
The,
whole.
the neck meowmancer.
Riffs.
But yeah, it's all based on puns, and it's a fun, silly game. So if
Oh,
you're
I
looking for
love
something
it.
that's like, I only want darkness, but I'm sorry, you're not gonna have darkness in this game. It's mostly just let's have fun being.
So it's not a Derek game.
Like the darkest thing that happens is you have to go in for your shots.
yeah.
So like you're saying basically if you've ever had the power fantasy of owning a boat but also eating kibble, this is like
Yeah, this
for
is
you?
this is
Okay.
for you.
Okay.
So they do have expansions on like rules for ships, gunpowder weapons, and stuff. So it is kind of like, hey, let's be pirates instead of fantasy like knights and stuff. So high center on the
Love it.
seas, stealing from people.
And there's
all
no
that stuff.
people around to like
No.
get them fixed, right?
No, there's no people.
Well,
It's like
hold
at the
on.
end of Homeward Bound after that long journey was like, go
Please,
give
can
a
we not
crowd.
talk about Homeward Bound?
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah.
It's like the.
I'll cry.
It's the like if you ever watch
Keep
Rick and
talking about
Morty,
Homer.
that one
Please
episode.
don't.
See this.
No.
Oh, what about?
What's that new one? What's the new pet movie that came out? That's coming out?
I don't know.
Okay,
When they
A
announced
Dog's
the title,
Journey,
you were
Pets too?
A Dog's Purpose and A Dog's Journey. The book will make you cry.
I cried during the trailer.
She's about to cry right now.
That one is a story. I've read both of those books. The first book is better, but yes.
Detective Pikachu.
I loved. anytime
Pikachu is
anytime a pet is in danger, though, I lose.
Cuts right to the heart.
It does. Yeah, I lose my mind.
See, I grew up on the Benji movies where the pet's always the superhero.
Have you seen Old Yeller?
Oh
No.
no.
Oh, Old Yeller was a
stop.
fighter, a rootin' tootin'
I
fighter.
don't wanna.
Do you like do you like Futurama? You should look up Fry's dog.
Don't ever say that.
Okay. Okay.
Don't ever say that. I still
can't.
cry every time that episode comes on. It's the worst.
They try to retcon it. It's not.
No,
So,
it's
chat says Pirates of Pugmire. There is one human allowed in the game, and it's Keanu Reeves, and he's there to protect.
Oh.
Right.
Protect all the
Keanu
pets.
Reeves, 'cause he's
Yeah.
he's like the god of puppies, basically.
Yeah.
Like if
Pretty much.
anything bad happens to you, don't worry. Keanu Reeves will come fix it.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
get fixed up good.
But
The
yeah.
last thing you'll hear before you die is, "Whoa."
But yes, there are 6
Unless you're underwater.
days. Oh.
6 days.
6
days
days
left
left.
on that. All right.
6
Thank you,
days.
Banzai, and thank you for putting up with us interrupting Pirates of Pugmire.
We should stop having so much darn fun on
I
this
know
show.
it.
How dare you?
I know it. Well, our last Kickstarter is something that Justin's covering.
Iron Clays and Spades. So have you ever been playing a game and you've wanted some really nice tokens to represent victory points or money or pesos in the case of Pax Castellana?
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So Iron Clays and Spades is a Kickstarter for a really nice set of what they're calling luxury tabletop game counters. So they are metal core clay exterior, essentially poker chips that come into different numerical denominations. And they come, there's a couple
This
different,
one's worth 2 clays.
there's a couple different backing levels, but
Okay, I actually have to take a look at this.
yeah,
It
they're actually,
sounds
they look very
interesting.
nice.
Oh,
it-
dang.
It's pretty.
One of the levels comes with this like really nice box with removable drawers, you know, and like a nice inlay for your tokens. There's also a level I believe
Does
that
it
comes.
glow?
I like that they got like a professional poker player to play with the chips and flip them
Yeah.
around in his hand. That's
They apparently have a
Super
nice
classy.
heft to them.
They do.
Oh.
Is that guy vaping? That guy looks like he's just holding sunglasses in his mouth. Okay.
And then there's a level on the Kickstarter as well that comes with a really nice deck of playing cards. So this company is actually known to do like really nice cards as well. So they're doing kind of like if you
Those
want to
are
bling
nice.
up your
Oh.
bling up your poker nights or bling up your Pax Porfiriana games or bling up your whatever. Check out Iron Clays and Spades.
You want
Those
to
are
bling up
nice.
your poker chips? This is a good way to do it for
Yeah.
sure.
Yep, those are
Look
nice.
very baller wow.
Yeah.
Well,
Passing out.
That's what we
Awesome.
got for Kickstarter today.
That's
Yeah,
it.
that's
Yeah.
it. That's it.
Which means it's we're going to move on to our topic next week when we come back because once again we have just burned up all of our time
With
just being nice
I
to
know.
each other.
It's
Yeah.
good.
There's
It's
nothing wrong
good.
with that. Guys, I had a great time this week,
did
and I hope
too.
you did too. We'll see you next week on TableTakes. My name's Christian. This is Banzai, Kristen, and Justin, and we will see you next week.
But wait, there's more
There's
actually. You forgot about
I
new
did.
release rundown.
New release rundown. I totally did forget about that because I've only been here for one of those.
That's okay. So, new release rundown. We're setting up right after this, so stay tuned. In about 10 or 15 minutes, we will have a horde of new games that release this week and why you might want me into them.
Ooh.
So, check them out. Yeah, we have Andrew come in from Mox again to show us all the new games that release this week. So, stay tuned.
I love
and
new games that release this week.
well, then just stick around.
I really feel like I dropped the ball just then.
That's all right.
It was a great
That's
time.
okay. Yeah, it's okay.
So we will see you next time on TableTakes.
We will. All right, guys. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Hey guys, thanks for sticking around. My name is Kristen, if you're joining us for the first time, and I am here with Andrew of Mox Boarding House. Andrew, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, of course.
We are going to talk about new game releases today. But first, can you tell us a little bit about Mox Boarding House?
Oh, yes. So these games I brought with me from Mox Boarding House, which is a friendly local game store, both in Seattle and in Bellevue.
Now, you guys are coming to Portland too soon, right?
Yes, we are actually
that's
there.
exciting.
We've had 2 stores for about 5 or 6 years now, and Portland is next in the Mox line, I
Lineup?
guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've looked around for a really long time, and we decided Portland's going to be really the best next step.
Absolutely.
So we're excited to come down there. But at Mox, it's a little bit different than the game store experience that a lot of people have had previously. We like to have a large open space. We're open until midnight every night. We have a full restaurant at all of our locations, and you just get to hang out and play games. It's actually a place very, very focused on the community coming together and just having a good time.
Mox Bellevue is my personal FLGS. So yeah, I'm there all the time. So if you guys are going to be in the Seattle area anytime soon, or if you live in the Seattle area or in the Portland area coming soon, definitely check out Mox Boarding House. I mean, honestly, my friends and I go to play a game, grab a beer, and grab a snack, and it's always super fun. The staff is always super nice.
Good time.
Yeah, it's a good time. Okay, so, but that's not what we're here for today. We are here for games. Is that right? Okay.
Right. We are here for the new releases. There were a lot of really interesting games that came out this week. The previous week, there was almost like a theme running of roll-in rights that
I remember that.
a lot of roll-in rights all came out very similar times. And there will be more to come, certainly. But this week, we have a very wide variety.
Non-theme.
Yes,
the theme is no theme.
Games, yes. A lot of them are standing very much apart from one another. And one of them that I want to start with here is actually called the Slide Quest.
Ooh.
Now, Slide Quest here is a cooperative game made by Blue Orange. And what first drew me to this game is that it looked like Hungry Hungry Hippos.
It does.
It actually has
Let me show you guys the back.
Yeah. On the board itself, there are 4 positions where players sit with a plastic handle on the end.
Love it.
So I was like, all right, I'm already in. However, this game ends up being a pretty tricky cooperative game.
Okay.
You are using these levers to actually manipulate the level of the board and cause the knight to roll around.
Oh, like
on
those
these.
old marble games,
Yeah,
yeah?
in
Like
fact-
the puzzle games?
Yeah, the knight is it's a piece with a marble underneath it.
Okay.
So there are other pieces that get placed on the boards, but because that knight has the marble underneath, there's a little bit less friction, and you're moving the knight around to either avoid obstacles or attack monsters. There are, I believe, 20 or so different boards that come in this box, and you can play with up to 4 players. And if there's only two of them, if you and I are playing, we'll each handle 2 of the levers, and we'll try and achieve whatever the goal is.
So you have to work together to try and get the knight to...
Yes.
Okay, I don't
Yes.
know if that's my speed of game.
Right. Yeah.
but-
So this is where we're starting here. We're starting with cooperative initially. We're going to get into much more of the versus.
If
system.
you guys have ever watched me on TableTakes or other streams before, you probably have heard that I'm not super into cooperative games. Like, they're
Right.
fine.
They're-
Right,
Wow.
like, they're
Okay.
fine.
So succeeding in a cooperative game is like the silver medal. It only
Yeah.
goes up to like, okay.
It only goes
well,
up to silver.
Yeah, it only goes up to silver there. Okay. Well.
It does seem super cute and fun, though, honestly. And it looks like a good, like, family-friendly or even like a party game almost.
Right. So that was my initial take on it. I think that this is going to be great for different ages working together on.
Yeah.
That being said, I looked at some of the missions in this, and it's not just get the knight from one side to the other and avoid these obstacles. There are times when there's a monster on the board, and you must maneuver that monster into a specific hole and then take an object from the
snap.
board and move it into that hole on top of the monster.
Okay, that sounds a lot harder than I thought.
Right. And I know I will just like smash the lever when like when we're going when
Yeah,
things
yeah,
are going
yeah.
sideways. See if I can
Right.
jump the knight across the board,
Right.
something like that. I imagine this is going to actually get a little more difficult than it looks like it will.
Yeah. Okay. It's a little not pinball, but skee-bally kind of.
Yeah, a little bit there. But the
Okay.
art's fantastic to it.
It looks super cute.
I think it's going to have a lot of replayability to it as well.
20 levels. That's what you just said. Wow.
Right.
In the base game. That's awesome. I wonder. It'd be interesting. I wonder if they're going to do expansions for this as well.
Right. This is a game that is, I think, very easy to expand upon, just because you have all of the components. All you need for expansions are either more boards or just a few more characters, that kind of thing to add to it.
Okay. So if you're looking for a family-friendly game, or if you're looking for just kind of a lighthearted game, this sounds like
Oh, yes.
the right one for you.
If anyone out there has been playing a game called Magic Maze, Magic Maze is another very, very fun cooperative style game that has a unique mechanic to it. That mechanic in Magic Maze, by the way, is you are not allowed to talk while you're playing.
Oh.
And it breaks down the communication, and you're trying to get people to maneuver around the board as quickly as you can because you're timed. This is another unique mechanic that's added into a family-friendly cooperative game.
So it says video game, board game on the front. What
Right,
what's the video
so
game about
I
it?
haven't actually played
Interesting.
the video game.
Oh, but there's a
side of it.
video game
Yeah.
version of it. Oh, okay. Oh, I bet it's a mobile game, isn't it? That makes sense.
Oh,
I bet.
no, I haven't
bet.
played
Well,
Side
someone can
Quest.
tell us.
Yeah.
Someone can tell us. Okay, perfect. Well, thank you.
Right. So that's Side Quest. Going from a cooperative game and switching gears.
Ho. The segues continue
Yes.
on new release rundown.
Is Getaway Driver.
Okay.
Okay, so this game, as soon as this game came out, this is struck a lot of us because we recognized the art immediately on the box. This art is very similar to a lot of the Tim Fowers games like Burgle Bros, Fugitive,
Okay.
and like Paperback. I believe it's the same illustrator for that. However, this is, I think it's Jeff Beck. Yes, Jeff Beck.
Okay.
So Jeff Beck has worked with Tim Fowers in other developments of games. Jeff Beck, I believe, did Hardback. And in this, he's doing Getaway Driver. Now, this is a game where it is 1 versus 1.
Perfect.
Yes, exactly.
And, all right.
One person is running and one person is chasing.
Oh, so it's a little asymmetric.
Yeah, oh, entirely.
Okay.
And it's very, very cool how it actually plays out. You have all of these, you have the initial car that is running away, and it is a tile placement game. However, wherever the driver is running away, the police and all their equipment, they actually end up placing tiles face down as the driver discovers them as they're trying to careen through a city.
Okay. It looks super fun. So it's 2 players. It's a 2-player game only.
Right.
Asymmetric. So this is something I am 100% in on.
Right.
Like, 1v1, asymmetric.
Right.
Anything that involves a little bit of strategy, like that is my jam.
Yes, there is strategy involved about which tiles you are placing down where, so that you may give me an easy street to go through, but you know I'm going to be heading towards another part of the city that we've been building that will be more difficult.
So I can screw you.
Oh, absolutely.
Perfect.
You actually will get like spike strips you can throw down,
Yes.
all that kind of thing. However, the driver, this is the hero from a heist movie, so they can actually use the card and like put the car up on 2 wheels and like avoid something, or like go
okay.
through a fruit stand and like slow down the cops and stuff like that. There's a lot of like really, really funny, very campy cards that go along with that. Like they definitely take a nod at some of the less serious spy driving
I love it.
movies, that kind of thing.
And the art is gorgeous. I love the art. It's very cute.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so that's by Jeff Beck. That is out already this week.
Yeah, all of these that we have here are currently out and available, so be sure to come in and check them out.
Or at your friendly local game store as well. If
Right.
they don't have them,
Yeah.
Write down the title, and presumably you can talk to the employees there to order something for you.
Yeah. absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah, some of these we have more copies of than others, and then with board games in general, distribution can be kind of up in the air about whether or not someone's going to have 10 copies or 0. So yeah, be sure to call, check it out, or come in and try one of these before you buy it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Getaway Driver, I'm very, very excited about this one. A lot of people a lot of employees in the store are. We do already have an open copy in our library, and I'm tempted to just take this one home myself.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It looks like a great one. I'm definitely going to be into that one for sure.
Cool. Getaway Driver, that's the next one there. Let's see. Next up. Actually, this one kind of caught me by surprise. This is yet another small box game here, called For the Queen. Now, this is entirely a storytelling game.
But it's a card game?
Yes. Well, it's a card game in the sense that there are card prompts for this. But this little box, it's a collaborative storytelling game about the queen, and the queen being, could be like under attack, and how you're responding to that. This is a game made up of prompts where you get to actually sort of build into a story that can go any way that the group wants it to go.
Okay.
So on the box here,
Yeah.
it actually tells you you'll use the prompts to collaboratively tell a story of love, betrayal, doubt, and devotion.
Okay.
So there are
a little social deduction-y maybe in a way? Not quite.
It's sort of building off of one another's stories. So this actually feels much more like a
I see.
like a little bit more of a whose line is it anyways style of like improv. The prompts are like improv lines that come up or situations that you have to respond to. So if we're traveling with the queen, a prompt might come up and say, "Oh, why does the queen trust you? What did you do to gain the queen's trust?"
And then you have to, on the spot, come up with,
tell the story of why that happened.
When we were children.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
And other people can build off of those stories, and you end up building characters as you go through.
That is very neat.
And I believe there are more than a dozen different queens in this box that you actually get to build off of. But the way the prompts and the storytelling goes, it can go anywhere from like half an hour up to like two or more hours.
Depending on how you want to play the game, really.
Right. It depends how much you want to build into the story. Now, with that in mind, I think you want to know this game before you bring it into a group, because this is a game that I think is going to be most beneficial for people that know the group they're playing with. They're all willing to invest in and tell a story. Now, the prompts certainly help with that, because it's not just asking someone to write a fantasy story about this wonderful queen full of deceit and treachery and love and romance and all of this. So there are prompts that help you do that. But I would say definitely know the people you're playing with, and come together to make this story. So it isn't, I'm sorry to say, it isn't competitive.
Darn.
However, if you're telling the story, you can make it
I can make it what I want.
You can make it competitive.
I mean, it says it's a cooperative game, but really, I feel like that's more...
Well, it's collaborative.
Collaborative,
We work together to make a story. It's not a story about us working together.
That's true. That's
true.
So
we can tell the story about me trying to get this knife out of my back.
Well...
And where that knife came from.
How did it get there?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So
that sounds really cool, actually.
For the Queen. This is one that I haven't played myself yet, but I've looked through some of the components in the cards and watched some people try it out. So I'm excited to see the reception for this one, how it
where
compares.
Folks take it. Yeah.
Right, because I don't actually have anything strictly to compare this to.
Right.
I think people that may have enjoyed a Fate style RPG, where more than one person has a bit more control and responsibility for the environment and for the story, instead of one person just leading it.
Right.
That's the kind of storytelling that's going to be happening in For the Queen.
Okay, so if you're into collaborative storytelling, if that sounds interesting, if you and your friends are close,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, you don't have to be close, but like open to creating this world and this story together.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My friends and I just stab each other in the back.
Yeah, and that can happen. So that might be a half-hour game.
Right.
We're gonna see,
Well, that was fun.
Yeah, well, that was fun. We'll see who's left, and that's for the queen.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Next up, there's a very interesting on the far end there. This is, I believe, it's Gia Academy.
Ooh.
So Gia Academy, I am.
It looks very pretty. Is this a Renegade title? No,
Actually,
it's
no.
not. That's interesting.
This one is not. There is there's another game that this is heavily based off of called Hanamakoji.
Oh, yes.
So this is a 2-player game. We will be playing against one another very
Perfect.
specifically.
I like Hanamakoji.
Yeah, and in Hanamakoji, there's a line of geisha that you are using gifts to sway their influence to come to your side or your opponent's side, because you're trying to bring them in as celebrities to draw more people into your establishments.
Right.
In Gia Academy, you are actually performing very, very much a similar play style, but instead you are trying to gift scholars many gifts to try and sway them to your side in the academic field.
Sure.
So you're trying to get them to either write for you or study for you or do research, that kind of thing.
Okay, okay.
But what makes this game still stand out is that the play style is very unique. It's a 2-player game, and it's sort of a perfect information situation where the actions that your opponent's going to take is a limited actions pool. So there are 4 unique actions you can take, and you take them in any order you want, one at a time, back and forth.
Yep.
But those actions can be, I'm going to put down 2 piles of cards. You choose one for me to discard and one for me to keep. Or I get to draw a card and replace one on the board. And we start running out of options as we play through and sort of trying to position ourselves to get these academics to be on our side.
And I love Deepwater. Honestly, like Deepwater consistently puts out some really good stuff, for sure.
Yeah, so the art style with this, the gameplay with it, it's very, very pleasant. It's also a quick play. It's a 15-minute game.
Great.
Yeah. This is also going to be something that, of course, if you played Hanamakoji, it's excellent. This is another, like Getaway Driver, this is a 2-player maximum game. So 2-player only, if anyone likes something like Lost Cities is a really good example. Where you are trying to reveal information as you go and try and gain as much influence on one side or the other as you can.
Okay.
That might be another one that if you played that, G Academy might be something that you would enjoy.
Yeah, it looks really interesting and really fun. You know, honestly, it's super nice to have these kind of lightweight games, especially if you're going on like a trip or something.
Oh, yeah.
You know I love these small box games for when I'm going to be a long time on a train or a plane or an automobile.
Yeah.
And I'm going with a friend or my partner, and we can just break out something easy and fun.
Yeah.
Like this for sure. So
Yeah, it's a light game,
Academy.
and even the components you can get a dice bag or something like that and put all of the components and
Oh,
cards
okay.
in there. The cards are tarot size with
Okay.
beautiful art on them, but that's pretty much the largest component that you're going to be playing with.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you.
Yeah.
It's G Academy.
So G Academy, on the other hand of so that's one of the shorter games we have here. One of the longer games we have, though, is this Star Wars Outer Rim. Very, very exciting about this one. This came out from Fantasy Flight Games. They released this one yesterday. This is a really interesting game that goes from 1 to 4 players, where instead of playing like as the Rebel Alliance or as the Imperials, you are playing as effectively a smuggler.
Okay.
You are the single ship that is performing jobs across the galaxy. You're delivering goods, you're evading patrols, you're finding contacts, you're hunting bounties.
Is this a little bit like the Firefly game?
A
maybe?
little bit.
Okay.
There will be certainly some crossover there, because you are, instead of like commanding like an army, you are your own ship.
Right.
Sometimes you're on the run. And you're also balancing, one of the very, very cool mechanics in this one is that you're balancing your relationships with the different factions. So there are factions of like the Hutts, the Rebels, the Alliance, and the Syndicate, I believe, are the 4. And as you perform actions, as you accept and complete bounties, you're going to gain reputation with some and lose reputation with others. Now, the reason that matters is while you're running through this galaxy, I'll show you on the back, there's a galaxy going across the entire board. That matters because there are going to be patrols running through those galaxies.
Oh.
And based on your reputation, that is going to cause you to either avoid them, get stopped by them, or maybe you're forced to fight them.
Okay. That sounds really interesting. A lot like a pirate game that I played. I can't think of the name of it, but it had really pretty, bright art, and it lasted a few hours. And that's all I can remember about it.
Oh, it could be, oh my gosh, it's the Marauders game.
Yes, Merchants and
Marauders,
yes.
thank you. Merchants and Marauders,
yes.
You're juggling reputation with different factions to either, even just to gain passage through somewhere.
Yeah.
That
so
can
same
be totally
idea.
worth it. Yes.
Okay.
There's a very, very nice mechanic with not being like destroyed, but being defeated in this. You're forced to take a rest to do something. However, also, despite it being a 2 to 3 hour game, it's a race to 10 victory points. You get a victory point sometimes for capturing or like eliminating a bounty. You might get 2 victory points for capturing one.
So it sounds actually a lot like Merchants and Marauders.
And however, these victory points, again, the reason why this game is much longer is that those victory points are not easy to just get.
Right.
It's going to take you several turns to set up, fly across the galaxy, attempt to make a contact, and find out where someone is, and then choose what you're going to do with them. So yeah, this game has a lot of back and forth to it. There's a big market of cards that are both equipment, different ships, bounties, jobs, smuggling operations, that kind of thing, that are all available at every single planet you go to. And I think there are like 8 or 10 planets that you can jump to in this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that sounds like it's your speed, and if you like Star Wars, that is Star Wars Outer Rim for you.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely give this one a shot. Despite it being one of the longer games, this is something that if a game's going to be taking 6 hours to play, generally we don't have it open in our library because it's kind of a moot point trying to set up and play that.
Yeah.
But Star Wars Outer Rim, we're probably going to have one of these available to play, to try out. You can even play it where you're going to be a shorter game where you're just going to 6 victory points instead.
Sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love it. It looks super fun. I'm into this one as
Oh,
well.
yes. You definitely get to do some backstabbing in that. There's some salty plays that can definitely happen, stealing bounties out from underneath other people.
And honestly, I like games where like I can go do my own thing and just kind of silently rack up victory points.
Oh, right. But people will see those victory points happen, so they're going to be like, oh, over there. Yes, we have to stop. We have to keep that from happening.
Kristen's doing some stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, that's Star Wars Outer Rim. Again, it came out yesterday, so we're pretty excited to see that on the table.
Yeah, absolutely. What's next?
The Fates of Madness. So Fates of Madness, this is a game that, based on even the cards alone that I saw on the back, I was like, oh, this is actually pretty interesting. I couldn't tell how much of this was going to be, if there was going to be a dice rolling element, or if there's going to be some sort of card engine going on in this. But there are tarot cards and loads of poker-style cards.
Interesting.
Yeah, and the way this game works is very much a group of fantasy heroes that you pick that get cards as equipment, and then you start building locations and spells, equipments and treasures and bosses. And we start going through these locations.
So you build this in game.
Or you build it ahead of time, but it gets randomized. So you end up building these small decks.
Okay.
Some of which you know what's coming up, much of which is going to be different every time.
Interesting.
Right.
Okay.
There are some very cool mechanics in this where the statistics on the monsters you may encounter aren't just how much damage they deal, it is who they choose to attack. And you actually set the order of who your heroes are in. So if you're at the front, you're the one that deals the most damage or something like that, and I'm the third one back and I have a bow, and the monster says they attack 3, they just walk past you and they come straight for me and they just start attacking.
Interesting.
So
okay.
it changes like the order of what you might want to do on your turn, how much armor they have, they can deflect magic. There's a lot of statistics that go into it, but the way the cards are laid out, it's very easy to read and see how it actually plays out.
Okay, so if you're looking for a game that's a little bit more cooperative.
Yes, again, this is a cooperative game. I'm sorry to say.
I
Yes.
understand that people like cooperative games. I get that.
Right, there is an objective here.
But you're working together to try and defeat the monster, right?
Right, so you're going through these locations. There's a trigger for when you find the boss. When you find 3 locations, you find then the boss after that.
Oh, okay.
However, each location that you randomly find has a value on it, and that value added together determines which monster is the boss. So going into every game, you don't know what you're going to be fighting. You don't know
Interesting.
what equipment to give to each person as you go through that.
So you just kind of do the best you can and hope for the best.
Right. So you're figuring it out as you go, which I really like because you can't come in with an exact strategy every single time and then rinse and repeat.
Right.
So there is a lot more replayability in this one. It does, however, I haven't looked into it, but I know it does have a 1-player mode to it as well.
Okay.
That stands out. There are a lot of games that are designed, 2 to 4, 2 to 5. But actually having a 1-player mode, especially in a cooperative game, it's kind of nice that you get to play against the game if you want to do that solo
I
mode.
also saw there was on the back, it says there's a game master option. Do anything about that?
So I haven't played.
Dug into it?
I
Okay.
haven't dug into that. So that may actually be your
my
side
style.
of the board,
Yeah.
where
Okay.
you may be choosing what monster to throw at them, looking at where the weak part of the party is. That kind
I
of thing.
love that there's several different ways to play this game, though.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
very interesting to me.
That's a big plus in the design. There are some games that the game will release and they'll release with a small expansion that lets you do something. When you have a game that's designed with a 1-player mode and a mode where a person gets to be the game master and many different monsters to choose from, multiple bosses that you don't know, that feels like expansions that are baked into the base game.
100%.
Right, and that just makes it have a lot more replayability. It makes you want to come back to it and try it several more times.
Yeah.
And if you are trying it several times, this is a game that's only going to go 30 minutes. You're going through like a small adventure.
Yeah, so you're going through the dungeon. That's really interesting. So it includes equipment, spell scrolls, potions, treasure, characters, monsters, scenario, and boss monsters.
Right.
Awesome. So I have friends that would be really into this, so I should probably pick this up for them.
Especially if you can be.
Especially if I can be the game master.
Yeah, the game master.
Yeah.
The one
Cool.
that it gets to fight against the party.
Exactly.
Well, excellent. That brings me then to the last one
That's our last game. Okay.
that I'm bringing this week, which is this one here.
This giant boy
This big boy.
is, I think, the size of my torso.
Right. Yes. This one is called Monster Slaughter.
I think there's a way to pronounce that based on the font that they use. I believe, Andrew.
Oh.
It's Monster Slaughter.
Yes. yeah. There's emphasis. You can see the emphasis that was put in there. Monster. Yeah. There it is.
There it is. Thank you.
So this game, Monster Slaughter, this is not a cooperative game. This takes place in a spooky cavern. Or not cavern, sorry, spooky cabin, where there are a group of guests there. And of course, something horrific happens on the full moon.
Right, as it does.
Right. You are not the guests trying to fend off these monsters. In this game, you are families of monsters trying to out-slaughter the other monsters.
Also not a family-friendly game, probably.
Probably not super family-friendly.
I mean, depends on your family, I guess.
Right. Depends where, you know.
I was watching RoboCop at 9, so
Right.
this definitely would
Oh,
have been up our alley.
That explains a lot. Now.
It does, yeah.
So Monster Slaughter, they go into these families that you get to choose. Are very
Families
cool.
of
They're-
monsters.
Right. Families of monsters. So you have like the werewolves, you have the zombies, you have the aliens. They take up a lot of the different tropes of horror movies. That's really, really fun that you can get behind. Although they are relatively balanced, each of them have special abilities to them as well. So you actually get to be, they're not just different colors for different players. Like for the miniatures, it's going to be actually different effects as you go in the game.
So it's a little asymmetrical?
Oh yeah, it's a little asymmetrical to a degree, but you're all performing the same choices
Tasks,
of
okay,
actions
sure.
and tasks, that kind of thing.
Okay.
What's really neat about this is that there are the guests that are listed here on the back of the box, as you can see, and then each of the families actually gets to set out those guests face down in the order that you want them to die. So you're not only predicting, but you're predicting and trying to influence sort of the story of the demise of these characters in the cabin.
I love it.
And then you even get to put a target of like your favorite meal. Of
Sure.
like, if I'm the one that finishes this person off, then I get additional victory points to it.
So it looks like we've got many different factions, well, 5 different factions to choose from, and a lot of minis.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's
31 minis to be exact.
right, and the reason the minis are important are because the board itself is a cabin. It has walls to it that are barricaded. It has doors that the people can run through as they get
You guys that
scared.
again. Yeah. So it's a little bit like what is that game that I don't like that everyone loves? With the walls and you go through it. Nope. It's
trying to
cooperative.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. It must be where people are working together.
It is.
Oh, I'm not sure about
It's
that
okay.
one. But this one, the walls can actually be destroyed. They can be broken down, and then there's a broken section of the cabin that the monsters can move freely through. However,
Interesting.
these minis aren't visible all the time. If there isn't a miniature in the room with one of the guests, they immediately hide. And their card gets slipped into a deck that belongs in that room.
Okay.
Then that room can have traps in it that the characters have put there as you're searching
Love
for
it.
them. You can scare them from one room to the other to move them away from, maybe you're about to finish someone off that I wanted to. I might try to scare them out of your room to run to the other,
Okay.
and then try and get there
This
first.
game looks great.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm really into this.
Yeah, it's super campy. It's like
Even the back, I believe, said, based on like a classic 1980s horror film,
Yes.
which is really fantastic. So a little bit of nostalgia in there for you as well. It looks like it plays in about 60 minutes.
Yeah, this is one that's I think going to have, although the components are actually very, very well done, and they actually show you a lot of what they do and give you a lot of icons to help guide you through. This one is going to take a little bit of time just to set up and learn. If it's your first time through, I would expect a little bit more than an hour.
Sure.
But on average, yes, it's going to be about an hour or under.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah,
Was
absolutely.
that our last game of the day?
Yeah, that's our last game of the day. There were a couple other games that we're looking forward to, but aren't quite out. Some games that
Quite
we've
out,
gotten
right. Okay.
demos for early that we haven't gotten to release yet.
Well, I can't wait to see those.
Yeah, so it may be on one of these new release roundups. We may be bringing in some of our demos that we got sent ahead of time just to show off the game and what to
Okay.
look forward to.
Absolutely. And then you can take that to your friendly local game store and say, hey, please make sure you order this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect.
Let them know because the more people playing games, it's just a wonderful community that we want
Absolutely.
to grow.
Absolutely. Well, Andrew, thank you again so much for joining us. Thank you so much for explaining each of these games to us. And I really appreciate you taking the time to explain, who might like it, and especially, even if if you don't like it, like me, in co-op games, I
Right.
know people that would. So New Release Rundown is also a place to get those gift ideas if you've got friends' birthdays
absolutely.
coming up.
That actually also happens a lot. If you ever have questions about games, even if you're just not sure what to get, come in. Ask
Yeah.
us. We're always happy to talk about games and walk you through whatever questions you have.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us. This has been New Release Rundown, which we confuse even internally. We call this New Release Roundup. So
Right.
I think we're
Right.
gonna rebrand
Yeah.
to New Release Roundup. We're gonna have to wear cowboy hats because it sounds a little bit like used cars.
I'm in.
Right? But I'm thinking this
Yeah.
is the way we're gonna go with this, right?
Yeah.
I need a little rope.
Yeah,
to
the
swing.
lasso?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well,
Oh, gosh.
the New Release Roundup.
We're going to do that. Hooey.
Thank you so much for sticking around. Thank you so much for joining us. And I hope that you found a game that you liked today, or maybe a game for your friend. Next week, you can catch Peter Atkinson. He's back for Fireside. That's Wednesdays at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. Brothers Murph are on before that on Monday evenings, 5 p.m. Pacific. So let me do the math here, 6, 7, 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm a communications major.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I have to count on my fingers. What do we have past that? Gen Con news on Tuesday. We stream every single day here on Gen Con, except for Thursdays, I think. So join us for Gen Con news if you're headed to Gen Con. We've got news for you on Tuesdays. And then next Friday, we're back with TableTakes. Derek and Emma will be back from Origins, so we'll get to hear all of their Origin stories, which will be very exciting. And we'll be back with New Release Roundup next week as well. Everyone have a great weekend and great rest of your Friday. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.